With its white and maroon colors and strong community presence, Campbellsville University has become a staple of higher education in Kentucky, as well as integrating Christian ideals to student life. Campbellsville is often renowned for its financial aid and small campus, which brings a sense of community, family, and togetherness. But how did the university get to where it is now? Every place must start somewhere, and CU history is filled with waves of progress and obstacles that were barely overcome. Let's take a look at this history as we pause and rewind to the beginning. Campbellsville University was founded in 1906 and was originally called Russell Creek Academy. During this time, state-supported training for teachers was unavailable because of a lack of funds in certified institutions. This was until the General Assembly made supplies available for the founding of schools and colleges. Russell Creek Academy also made a covenant with the Kentucky Baptist Convention to uphold religious education. Russell Creek Academy was more of a teacher's school and provided education for students of all ages. There was a normal department designed to train future educators, and these classes of younger grades helped aspiring teachers gain experience. The presence of these lower grades also helped keep the school's numbers stable during World War I, since the majority of the male students were under the drafting age. Russell Creek Academy started with 10 acres bought from Charles R. and Georgie Jarboe Hoskins. Charles and his son Walter owned a brickyard which provided the bricks to construct the administration building, Staff Hall, and the gymnasium. The original administration building was a 3-story brick structure with an auditorium, 8 classrooms, a music room, an art room, cloakrooms, a principal's office, and a basement. The basement was used as a playground for the elementary children during bad weather. In addition, there was a woodworking shop for students to participate in work study to aid in paying their costs. The academy's first graduating class had 6 people, 4 boys and 2 girls. In 1929, Russell Creek Academy became Campbellsville Junior College and became an institution that offered courses required for an associate in arts degree. A total of 64 hours were required to graduate. 33 students were enrolled in the inaugural term. Though this was a great milestone to achieve, the junior college would face hardships from the get-go. The stock market crash in 1929 caused the college to go through financial strains, and it had to make sacrifices to keep the institution afloat. The college had to sell its 52-acre farm, livestock, and equipment in order to make ends meet. Programs such as football were cut. Even the president's house was sold. Through intense money management, Campbellsville Junior College managed to continue to keep its doors open. Bad luck didn't seem to end just yet, however. Because of World War II, the junior college faced a lower-than-average number of male students for a couple of years because of the draft. On April 14, 1939, the original administration building burned down in a fire. The cause of the fire was never determined. The next day, students, staff, and community members came together to clean up the debris. Much was lost in the fire, including records, books, and countless objects of historical significance. But although Campbellsville Junior College had faced crumbling hardships during this time, the spirit of renewal and progress remained strong. A new administration building was rebuilt and remains as we know it today, with recent renovations, of course. The construction didn't end there. In 1950, a much-needed men's dorm, Carter Hall, was built. The Alumni Chapel was also completed during this time, and though it was originally meant for ceremonial activities and convocations, it was also the ideal place for plays. It was later converted to the Russ Mobley Theater. In 1959, Campbellsville Junior College became Campbellsville College. This allowed the institution to now offer 2 degrees, Bachelor's in Arts and Bachelor's in Science. The college offered several general education courses such as sciences, mathematics, business, literature, fine arts, religion, and many more. To graduate, a student had to complete 128 credit hours. Toward the end of this era, many new degree options were added. It also seemed that the college went through a new construction phase since many new buildings were built during this time. A fun fact is that from 1959 to 1960, Campbellsville College bought a few government surplus items, including orange paint, and the roofs of many buildings during this time were painted this color. During the 1960s, the new library, the science building, and the student union building were completed. The student union building was used as the cafeteria, lounge, snack bar, auditorium, and conference room for the student government, the campus minister, and student development staff. This building is now known as the Badgett Academic Support Center, or as students and staff call it, the BASC. Throughout the years, students have enjoyed the celebrations and social gatherings that continue to grow on campus. Students were often found socializing outside and finding ways to have fun during their free time.
It was very small. Everybody knew everybody, just about. The few of the commuters that came in, you wouldn't know because they were just in and out. But everybody on campus knew everybody. We had a lot of fun. Homecoming was a big deal. It was a basketball homecoming. And we spent weeks working on floats, putting in napkins, paper napkins, making in the chicken wire. We made some beautiful floats, I thought.
In the early 1960s, male students were not allowed inside the girls' dorm at all, and vice versa. If you were a female but didn't reside in the girls' dorm, you could only stay until 7 p.m.
Well, you didn't let the girls go into the men's dorm and men into the girls' dorm. And somebody called me and said they thought they saw some girls going into Carter Hall. Well, I get in my car, I come over here, and I did that a lot of times, being so close to the campus. And I got to where I could see through when you got the door so close to being shut, there's still that space in the hinges of the door you can see through. And they were sitting down the floor, and they had a cup with a candle in it, and they had a roll of bologna, which they were cutting, and had crackers, and they were laughing and talking with 3 girls it was and 3 guys, and nothing going on that they shouldn't have been in there.
There were also restrictions specifically for freshman students, including midnight curfews. If freshmen were not in their rooms at this time, they would be reported to the residence hall director. Additional housing was also constructed during the 60s. These included North Hall, South Hall, and apartments for married students on Central Avenue. Due to an unpredicted slow enrollment rate, Carter Hall was boarded up and used as storage to send more students to South Hall.
I'm sitting in the administration building now. The building beside me was the old SAC gym, and it was condemned. It was boarded up, it was gutted, there was nothing in there. Had a beautiful gym floor, but we couldn't go in. And also, what is now Carter Hall, the classroom building and the faculty offices, was also condemned. There was nothing there, lots of spray paint and vandalism, and the windows were boarded up. Don't want to admit it, but sometimes we'd sneak into the buildings at night, just for fun, like college kids do. We used to think it was a scary place. It was just a big, tall building with nothing there.
Druin Hall was an annex to the current Staff Hall, which was designed to house 62 girls on the main level and served as a cafeteria in the basement. The basement cafeteria would feed up to 300 students a day. Many buildings are now used differently than their original purpose as the college kept expanding and making improvements.
Our dark room was in the Gosser Fine Arts Center, which was the former hospital, Taylor County Hospital, and our dark room was in the morgue. And we didn't have cell phones then, and we had to be sure we told the students when they went to the dark room exactly what to do.
In 1969, Randolph "Randy" Davenport became the college president and greatly brought about a strong direction for the institution. He was followed by Kenneth W. Winters, who became the new college president in 1988. With them came a great amount of focus on student life.
We had some financial issues, where there's some struggles with the college, and 88 was a rebuilding time, and it was a neat kind of energy, and we had a new president. His name was Dr. Ken Winters, and I was thrilled because he comes from Murray, and I'm from around in that area in Hickman, and he declared himself a freshman. So he decided to do everything freshman oriented with the freshman class. So the president was participating in the freshman week. He walked us to class. He would stand in front of the library and ask where we were going, and he would escort us to class and get to know us. So he declared himself a freshman, and we just all really just fell in love with our new president at the time. And when we graduated, he declared himself as as an honorary graduate of the class of '92 because he started with us. So it was just a special time, my freshman year, just with Dr. Winters. And the years he stayed here, he continued just to get to know the students. And I remember because he actually drove to Western Kentucky for my wedding. I mean, he was just a very hands-on friend, he and Shirley Winters.
The varsity football program returned under the direction of Coach Ron Finley.
But probably the one thing that began to move us in the direction that we wanted to go at that time was adding the football program. That was under Dr. Davenport. Most people have forgotten that it began at that time, but having that program, I used to tell people we needed something that the students could get upset about when school started. And they'd say, what in the world do you mean? I said, well, they need an enemy. And so this, football, those other schools called Georgetown or Lindsey Wilson or even Pikeville, if they could get to be our enemy with a sports program going in the fall, it would settle the waters of everything that's happening here. And jokingly doing that, there was really began to show promise as it went on, because then you added the band, you added this, added that, and began to branch out.
After years of being boarded up, the original gymnasium was renovated to the Student Activity Center in 1991. The institution grew in both size and student body throughout the years.
I'm not sure exactly. I think we had maybe 100 people started out as freshmen. And when we graduated, I believe there were 90 or 92 of us. I mean, we all stuck around.
By 1996, 1,260 students were enrolled. In 1996, Campbellsville College became Campbellsville University as we know it today. This was a large milestone for the institution, and the students and staff celebrated its progress. It had about 130 faculty members and 1,600 students who were enrolled when it started. The university's motto became "Find Your Calling at Campbellsville University," no doubt a familiar phrase for students. CU offered 27 academic programs of study, and this number has significantly increased throughout the years. During this time, Campbellsville University received a gift of 135 acres in Clay Hill Memorial Forest, which is primarily used to aid in the education of the science and art departments. In 1997, a new university president's home was built and named the Betty Dobbins Heilman House. In 1999, Dr. Michael V. Carter became the university president and remains as such to this day, helping the university grow throughout the coming years. CU bought the Airview Hotel and renamed it to Broadway Hall, repurposing it into a residence building for male students. In 2001, CU opened its first satellite center in Louisville, beginning efforts to expand its educational reach far beyond its place of origin. In 2003, the Tuggle Morris Wellness Center and Hawkins Athletic Center were built, and the renovation of the Montgomery Library was also completed during this time. With the continued expansion, the phrase "Pardon our progress" was coined for the construction sites, and is no doubt a familiar sight to students and staff. As CU was emerging, it was ranked number 4 in the best up-and-coming schools in the South by the U.S. News & World Report's college ranking. Staff on campus continued to provide a wide selection of services and activities for students to further create a welcoming and fun environment. It also grew with missionary and community work, from collaborating with a variety of churches to giving students the chance to do mission work in other countries, thus highlighting the Christian spirit of the university. The university received a sharp increase in student enrollment during the mid-2000s. In 2005, through love offerings, donations, and other fundraising tactics, enough money was raised to build a student commons and new dining area. These buildings are the Heilman Student Complex and Winters Dining Hall. A year after that, the men's and women's villages were built. Other new buildings included the Technology Training Center, the Geens Recital Hall, and the WLCU Broadcast Services Building. All seemed to be going smoothly at the university, though there were a few wrinkles along the way. In 2014, CU broke its ties with the Kentucky Baptist Convention, as this would allow CU to select its own Board of Trustees members. It was a difficult decision to make, as CU had been with the KBC for nearly a century, but despite this breakoff, CU remains steadfast on excellence in Christian education. Today, CU offers more than 90 degrees and has 9 satellite centers. It also enrolls more than 2,000 students, and these numbers keep rising each year. Which brings us to today. What began as a 10-acre academy now stands an 80-acre university at the heart of Kentucky. The campus is always thriving, with students eager for higher education and new exciting experiences. Throughout the past century, CU has held a spirit of expansion and improvement. New buildings, such as the Mass Communication Center and the new Finley Stadium, continue this spirit of growth towards the future. Although 2020 has been a challenging year for everybody, CU has remained steadfast in continuing its students' education despite shutdowns, quarantine, and new procedures. The university's history has had quite a few obstacles in its way, but the spirit of everyone involved remained strong and gave the institution the strength it needed to overcome the hurdles.
There's one thing for sure. I've been so happy that God has given me the opportunity to be a part of Campbellsville Junior College, Campbellsville College, and then Campbellsville University. And it's been a life of love and joy. Students from all over the world.
And one of my favorite stories about coming to Campbellsville is that the person who recruited me is now my colleague, Dr. Jeanette Parker. She was working for admissions, and I remember she came to Fulton County High School for a recruitment fair, and I met her.
Let me tell you about Campbellsville. And so once it gets in your system, if you really, really let it get in your system, it's going to stay there forever. So we wish God's blessings upon Campbellsville University, the administration, the faculty, staff, coaches, support staff, students, everyone who's involved with it. We pray God's blessing upon you.
Here's to the continuing progress and success of Campbellsville University.